Grandmama used to pray, oh Lord, please save them from the evil snares and all the dangers that entangle. Yea, though they walking through the valley of the shadows, just prepare and make them fit for every battle, because I know they bound to come, and I know they bound to fall, but in your bounty, Lord, preserve their beautiful. Right, we still surviving off of grandma's prayers, surrounded by the jungle and the lion's den. Tread light, cause these traps is inconspicuous. They hide right in plain sight, thinking we don't see them when they linger. Look right beneath the surface, then leave a trail of corpses. Crisis, prices, your life a disposable commodity, like living in a fantasy, conditioned to believe that the system even cares whether selling CDs or walking or driving or reading. Look, they don't even need a reason, it's just you breathing and being black. When it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all, at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming bloody murder. Said it got me screaming. This gritty city got me on some. Look, get your hand up on my pocket. Distraction, so lazy they use the same tactics, like condom with some trinkets. Just don't let them get to thinking. That light bulb gets a blinking. You know niggas and ideas. Oh dear, my dear, you may not know me, but I know you very well. Foresight, they say hindsight is 2020. Well, tell me something, we gotta see that history is on repeat, and maybe it takes a beat and a melody to speak a little louder than the message in the clouds or the essence in the air. I swear, my God is just so clear that a system driven by fear can never give us nothing but more of the same things. Oh, when it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming. It's murder. Got me screaming, got me. This gritty city got me on song.
That's what happened when you don't take the mute off the microphone. What's happening, good people? We are live and direct. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's Friday. Today we call it Free 'em All Friday because of the fact that we have political prisoners, we have prisoners of war, and we feel like it's only right that we acknowledge those brothers and sisters who have given their lives and have dedicated their lives and have fought on behalf of our people, and they continue the legacy. So we want to make sure that we're not leaving them behind enemy lines. So I want to be sure from this point on to highlight as many Fridays as possible, a Free 'em All Friday, so that folks will know that, this is what the day is all about. This is what it is. Today, I have a couple guests. One is a daughter of one of my favorite freedom fighters, brother that we've been fighting to get free for years. Matter of fact, the first major campaign here in Atlanta that I participated in, that we actually put together, was a rally for our freedom fighter Kamau Sadiki. So it's only right that we're talking about him today. Of course, him and folks like Imam Jamil Alameen, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, Mumia, Veranza Bowers, and so many others who are in these gulags and who folks would like to, emulate, but not give proper credit to. So we want to make sure that we highlight and bring it to the forefront. I'm going to be right back with you. We have Kasise Siddiqui, daughter of Kamau Siddiqui, and also my man Raphael Outlander from the Free Kamau Siddiqui committee. So we'll be right back at you in a few ticks. Hold tight. Don't go nowhere. Tell a friend. Let folks know it's on and popping. This is RSTV. Peace. What's going on, family? How y'all doing today?
Peace, peace.
Peace, Kalonji. How you doing, brother?
Man, we're live on arrival. Good to be here with y'all today. Haven't seen y'all in person in a while. It's been a few months. Time to get that back in order. You know,
That's right. That's
you
right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Freedom Weekend, right?
Yeah.
without a doubt. Without a
Yeah,
doubt. We need more of that. We need that every weekend, in every area until, till the comrades get free. But I
that's
definitely appreciate you all, hopping on with me on this nice Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Almost
saying?
Spring Friday in New York
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
over the
That's
weekend.
wild, huh?
Yep.
right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I usually make it my business to try not to go to New York, Jersey, or Connecticut in the winter time. But this year is like fooling me. It's like, is it springtime? Is it, you know what I mean? It's like the weather is wild,
Right.
but it's a result of capitalism, right? The hole in the
Mm-hmm.
ozone layer,
That's
so
right.
it happens
Unpredictable.
like that. Word, word. But for folks who are not familiar with you all, I have bios and all that stuff, and I can give you my version. But I'd rather you all get it started and give that proper introduction because sometimes folks short you on the message. So I guess we can start with Sisse and then Raphael, and we get it started.
Sure. Peace, everyone. Again, my name is Kasise Siddiqui. I always do this kind of introduction because I'm daughter of. I am daughter of Kamau Sadiki, who is a Black Panther in Queens, and then also daughter of Pamela Hanna, who also is a Black Panther in Queens back in the day. I am many things. I am a mother of a 24 and 28-year-old. I work in policy on my job, New York Immigration Coalition. I am a performer. I dance. I love nature. Nature is what keeps me sane with dealing with my family and advocating for my father. So even I must say this morning, I got up and I went on my balcony and just like give thanks and just had the opportunity to be peaceful and look at the sun and actually hear birds, which is I shouldn't be hearing in February, but so kind of like set my day.
No
I'll
doubt,
pass.
no doubt. Glad to hear you. Glad to see you on deck. You and nature. You know what I mean? That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Raphael, what's happening, man? The quiet guy.
Peace, everybody. I'm Raphael. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Kalonji, sharing space with y'all. I'm a father too, as both of you all are. Educator by trade, and I do research, scholarship, and I earned some of my academic, kind of work and stuff from Clark, Atlanta, which I always got to give a shout out to the AUC Center, studied psychology, and got a master's at Boston University. And where I am now, I studied at University of Rochester, where um, I think that's where my research started and wanting to really understand the experiences of oppressed people, primarily Black and Brown youth. And so a lot of my work has explored children, teenagers who've been murdered by the police and that impact on their families and loved ones. And I recently released a book called A Beautiful Imperfection, 365 Days in Babylon. And my hope with that work was to try to capture the struggles and experiences of oppression globally. Um, yeah, glad to be here. Been organizing for a few years now. Started with the campaign to free Russell Maroon Schultz. I learned a lot from comrades in that space, and then that transferred to the Love Not Fear campaign to free our dear brother Mumia Abu Jamal, and then finally we're struggling in the international campaign to free Kamau Sadiki. So yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Right on, man. I really, really, really definitely appreciate that. The thing that I love about you too is that oftentimes, you know, we have all of our OGs that have been fighting for the release of political prisoners before we really knew what it was and what it meant. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, our generation, we come with a different type of flavor, for lack of better words, right? I mean, like y'all make it fly. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just like, you know, we gonna make it cool to do what we do, and it's necessary because you're up against a beast that competes for the minds and the souls and the spirits of our people. So I appreciate you all bringing the type of energy that you bring. Um, I want to start with you, Kasise, as far as you know, I want to ask for folks who are checking us out and that will be checking us out. I think that oftentimes, as we talked about before, folks in the movement, we use certain terms, we throw names around, and it's like it's second nature because we're, whether we like it or not, we're clicked up, right? Even if you don't, you could be anti-click, but being a part of the movement is a special space, for lack of better words, right? So I want to ask you, for folks who are not familiar with Kamau Siddiqui, who is Kamau Siddiqui to you?
Wow. And every time I do these interviews, I never know how I'm going to feel. Kamau Sadiki is my father. Kamau Sadiki is a brother, a wonderful man who, um, ever since I was born, we've had a deep connection. Again, my father, let me just give a little background. My father, actually, his comrade at the time named me Kasise, and his comrade was Twyman Myers. Um, and back in the day, you know, they had each other. You know, again, there was a war going on at that time, and still happening now. But my dad and I have always had a close connection, and my mom, even through everything that he's been through, going into prison, coming out of prison, um, being underground, my mom always wanted my father and I to have a great relationship. So I have been communicating with my father like this from the very beginning of my life. And here I'm 51 years old. And so we continue to have this deep, 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 deep relationship. So part of advocating for him, it is I don't know how to not advocate for my dad, because I'm gonna continuously educate people, humanize him. um, just also just to give a little backstory. So yeah, my father joined the Black Panther Party, um, when I think in 1969. My dad was like 19, my mother was 16. They were comrades and partners, in the struggle together. They had each other's back. My father also is the father of Kakuya Shakur. That's also Asada Shakur's daughter. Um, my father went to prison in 70, I forget time, but was in prison from 1971 to 79, and he came out of prison. I experienced my father coming out, which was a wonderful day, and I can't wait to experience him be released again. I'm really trying to visualize that for my father. But anyway, from 79 up until 2022, when he was rearrested for a case from 1971, and also for not agreeing to bring um, Assata Shakur back to this country. My father and I developed, like any father-daughter, a serious, again, a relationship. My father, that's what, there's so many things, but like when we talk about freedom, my mother and father, they understand. There were so many things from him being locked up as when I was a child, and also just from being locked up as a child, from experiencing comrades be killed and everything, my father and mother wanted me to have as much of a normal life as possible. So they pushed me to, I went just with school and being able to, I guess, to have the light that I have now, because I express it through dance, through performance, through film, through nature, all of this to keep my sanity. So I had parents, regardless of everything they've been through. I have parents that I love, parents that sometimes a person can take it for granted of not like they've been separated and not having them, but like even going to visit them, going to visit my father a few years ago, it was the first time that I experienced my parents being together again in so many years. So there's so many layers to who my father is, but again, he is my daddy. He is someone that I love, love. And about this work, about who revolutionaries are. The principle is always about love first. So that's what keeps me going, motivated.
No, that right there is powerful because I look at some of the pictures of you and him with you as a little girl, and then of course I got the picture of you all behind me here, and you could tell the love emits through the photos, right? It reminds me of my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Just having that type of relationship. So I think I truly understand and feel like when you talk about that father daughter relationship is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience. Um, I wanted to ask you because of the fact that again, some folks aren't familiar. You mentioned that he was rearrested, right? This was the year 2000,
Two,
2002. Okay.
2002, 2000, yeah.
Right,
Hmm.
right. So I think that yeah, so 2002, and eventually he was sentenced, and I want to note that the judge that sentenced him, Stephanie B. Manis, um a real piece of crap. I'm gonna say that. I'm trying not to curse this time, but she's also the individual who sentenced Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown. So we like to say rest in piss to Stephanie B. Manis for her criminal actions and her denying facts and truth when it comes to our political prisoners. Um, so you mentioned that in 2002 he was arrested primarily because of what? What was?
Well, this is so after 9/11. So yeah, he was arrested for a case from 1971. Um, during during that time, you understand, as his daughter, like even knowing, like once he was arrested, he was in New York, and then they took him to Atlanta, where that case took place, where the incident took place. Um, there's a part of me that completely shut down because I really felt like death, like my father was taken out of my life. So like where he had so many, like the supporters like yourself, and just dealing with that case in Atlanta, I couldn't even like comprehend what was going on, because I just felt like my father was in New York and living a normal life, and then all of a sudden he's arrested and he's in court and he's taken to Atlanta. So it was again the the case from 1971, and also being offered a deal to bring Asada here. And so at that time, yeah, I was just devastated. Um, and my father kept like, as a father, reassuring, saying, "Don't worry, this is going to end. This is not, like they don't have anything on me, any evidence." But it didn't end. You know, he was
Well,
taken and then sentenced a life, yeah, a life sentence plus 10 years.
no
So
doubt. No doubt. It's wild because right now a lot of folks are in denial when it comes to counterinsurgency, right? They don't grasp, what it's about. They don't quite understand that that they will go to extreme lengths when they declare war on you. It's for life. So you mentioning, primarily we know you said the case in 1971. No, we know that it's because of the fact that he wouldn't turn on Asada. We're clear. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't, and that right there is honorable because you have so many folks who would trade whoever's lives, whoever's freedom, you know, um, in a drop of a hat. So we honor and respect the fact that he's steadfast and he's been steadfast because we know that that wasn't the first time that there was attempts to capture Asada as well. We know that there were snakes like Al Sharpton who came in and tried to finesse certain situations to try to entrap her as well. So, definitely, we salute your father for being steadfast. Um, Raphael, for you, you're on the committee. um what has that been like, and what does it mean to be on a committee to fight for someone like Kamau Siddiqui? I remember doing an interview here in Atlanta, and it was with one of these Fox News affiliates, and at the time I was asked to speak on behalf of Imam Jamil, and the reporter, he was a Mexican cat, and he's like, yeah, I support the Mexican Revolution and this and that, so on and so forth. He's talking all this stuff. And then as soon as they said, okay, the mic is hot, go, the first thing he said was, so how does it feel to support a cop killer? You know what I'm saying? So that was, that was a snake move. But of course, we don't trust the press. We already know how they got down. So, he couldn't do anything with it. For you, what type of uh, challenges, in supporting, because you mentioned that you're an educator. You know what I'm saying? Has there been any challenges, and again, what does it mean to support a freedom fighter like Kamau Siddiqui?
Yeah, so I'll start with that first part about just being on this coalition and on the committee. Um, starting my whole journey learning from reading works by Brother Mumia Abu Jamal, and I guess just kind of drawing on the education just about the whole movement and the history, and then eventually finding myself in spaces being able to organize and struggle for those people's freedom, such as Kamau Siddiqui. I mean, it's been, I think, an honor is kind of an understatement. It's been one of those things where I've even told Sisse on many occasions, like when she's telling me and talking to me about histories and stories, I just got to sit back and just soak it all up and learn. And I think that's important for me because I realize we won't really capture the essence, the nuances. As Sisse was pointing out, the person who people close to our freedom fighters loved and cared about. It's the families and the people, uh, I think, who share, that life history with them, that who can give us that lesson. So I think just being a part of this coalition, the Free Maroon Coalition, Love Not Fear, yeah, it's just been just real gratitude, every level, every situation, even being able to do this kind of talk. When I think about some of the challenges that I've endured doing this work, I think the first one comes about is organizing to bring Brother Jalil Muntakim to where I used to work, SUNY Brockport, out here in Onondaga territory, near so-called Rochester, New York. And I think bringing him here was, I think, a first indication of what institutionalized and state repression can look like, and how I mean, in all honesty, people who have said for years, like, we support you, we want to promote you, and make sure your critical work is out there, people just kind of turn to sort of an immediate enemy kind of form, as a result of, I think, me deciding to bring somebody to a campus who I knew was a part of an important part of Black history. And so I think that's an example of just institutionalized repression, trying to shut down the event, move it to different forums, all kinds of kind of violent and nasty, vile kind of messages. And, by the end of the day, they end up terminating me, and terminating me as violating my First Amendment rights and all kind of due process. So as I told you earlier, Kalonji, when we talk about this being a real struggle, and a protracted struggle, and we're at war, we have to respect that on every level, whether it's when we're organizing to free our freedom fighters, or when people in our spaces of, say, employment, etc., carry a different politic about this history. So I think that's an important example I would want to use. And yeah, I could stop there.
And I'm glad that you said that, because this is something that I'm just hearing this myself. So it's not like, it was a loaded question, like, hey, tell them about such and such. This is, it's imperative that folks understand, that this is not, it's not, the movement is not a hit and quit type thing. It's not for entertainment purposes. It's not for social media purposes. It's not for likes and let me take some pictures with so and so and all of this type stuff. Indeed, this is a protracted struggle. It is war. And it is necessary that folks understand that when you hop out there and you say that this is what you represent, you're declaring that you are absolutely against state oppression. You're absolutely against imperialism. You're against Zionism. You're against, all of these different levels of treachery that they practice. And in saying that, it makes you an enemy to the state, right?
You know, it's something talking about that because that's been my whole life. Like again, trying to have a normal life, but like these moments of growing up where, again, being a kid and my uncle needed to take me to school because I'm thinking my uncle's just taking me to school, but really it's because he's being, yes, Cohen tells us a lot. It's someone threatened me saying they're gonna kidnap me, or you know, just all these moments of life, and then I put it all together, like, oh. And then with my career, like I worked in fashion for many years, and always this like duality, like, oh, do I really mention who my people are, or like,
Right.
are people gonna see them in the news? Like I grew up with my family, always being in the press, and of course not in a positive way. And I expressed this too, like it wasn't until I went to college, I went to Hunter College, where I took an African American studies class, and I said I'm going to talk about Asada's book. And then folks was like, oh yeah, but I said, by the way, the little girl that she mentions, that 2-year old was me. And so my friends like, yo, why didn't you ever tell us that? I'm like, but you don't understand, I couldn't share those certain things. So it's always this back and forth of like survival. Like, what do you really reveal about yourself? The layers of life, and again, experiences as a baby up until now. And the choices that I have to make, or whether because this is my life, this is my bloodline. So it's like, do I go along and be like, oh, la di da about things, or am I gonna stand clear and be upfront and also be my, not just my father's voice, but all the freedom fighters? So that was a choice that I had to make too. So
All right.
it's a process.
No doubt, no doubt. I want to, if you don't mind, because we're talking about your father, and I don't think it'd be off topic to you know, let's talk about your mother, if you don't mind. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that, again, she was a veteran Panther as well. She's a veteran Panther. It's not like, because oftentimes folks think that you know, they have this weird thought that sisters get down in the movement because of a brother, or brothers get down in the movement because of a sister, whatever. But she was and is indeed her own person as well. So can you, for folks who are unfamiliar with Mama Pam Hanna, can you talk about her for a while, if you don't mind?
Well, you see, when you say talk about her, I get a whole other vibe because my mother is a unique person. She's a beautiful sister, and she holds her own. And everybody who is listening knows that about my mom. Again, my mother joined the party at actually at 14 or 15, and some of the her heroes were like Afeni Shakur, who Afeni, my mom said Afeni back in the day was like, don't you read and listen? Because my mother always was like asking questions, which is a good thing. But like my mother learned so much from like Afeni, and and like I must talk about the sisters too, the women. I mean, those are my aunties. Like back when unfortunately, like one of my aunties, Amy, lost my cousin when my cousin got murdered. These are things too that the women have to deal with. But like Tupac got killed, Javana Shakur, and there was some other cubs. And the women came together in the Gullah Islands to heal, So you think about all these sisters, and these are the women that I was raised by. Like I had to come correct because growing up with my mom. And so my mother, actually the other day, my mother's been very sick. She was very sick last year, and that's a whole other story. I mean, I would need an hour to talk about that, but she is doing better. And she and I were talking, and it's just actually, I heard from my father and my mother on the same day, so that was wonderful. And she just shared. She always like shares about her growing up, and she's funny because she was talking about even being a Panther, and like when she went to Adelphi University. She went to school in Long Island, and she was writing a paper, and it was about Asada, but it was like what she was actually going through, because again, my mother, my dad, they didn't think they were going to live, so to have kids, to have grandchildren, it's just like, wow, they didn't even think they would get there. But my mom, again, supported like all the freedom fighters, she, like Janet Cyril, like there's so many sacrificed themselves, like they were on the front line too, and unfortunately I think my mom's illnesses are because she put her life on the line giving to everybody. And so my mom says, now I gotta take care of myself. I can't talk to everybody because she has to do her. But I come from some badass revolutionaries people. I'm very proud of my mother and father, and they're so opposite too. So I gotta give a shout out to my mom, Mama Pam, as they say, for just who she is, And she's got that swag too. My mother, like I was so influenced by music through my mom, My mother,
Right.
she was playing those jams back. She was, so yeah, I had a great time. Even through everything I've been through, my mom she always wanted the best for me, So I'm proud to be her daughter.
No doubt. With that rearing, from and it's important because you mentioned your father and your mother, but you also talked about your aunties, right? So there was a sense of community, right? So how did that impact your life and make you who you are today? What type of bearing did it have on you, and was it pressure to grow up cub?
I got a
Wow.
request too, Pacific. Can you
Huh?
please? I say I got a request too. When you speak about auntie, can you talk about Joy Powell, please?
Oh, Joyce. Okay. So okay, just going back. So aunties, again, growing up, so it was the women that were, unfortunately, the men were in prison. A lot of them the brothers were in prison, like my dad and some other comrades, and so the women had to hold it down. And so I was raised by Eni Thomas, another bad Black Panther. I was raised by her. It was Eni, my mom, and Janet Cyril, together raising their children. I have to say this is something that Malkia was Janet's daughter, and unfortunately Janet Cyril passed away. But I actually, as a filmmaker, did this interview of some of the Cubs, and we're talking about growing up and what it was like for us, and like all the things that we said that was in common. Like we couldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Like we had code. We were just born like they taught us this. You had code. You didn't say certain things. I grew up having a few names. Like I had to remember different names because my mother. It was just a lot going on at that time. But Malkia said, I have to talk about Yuri Kochiyama. Like we used to go to Yuri Kochiyama's house, and Malkia was like, "What? Like we're trying to figure this out as kids. Like we going to this Japanese woman's house in Harlem," and like Yuri, like she would get so excited to introduce everybody. And Yuri had so many stories. And
Yes.
so we were just confused growing up. Like, okay, we know to be quiet. And we also just hung out with each other. We had each other's back. We knew code. And I want to say Yuri, because there's so many stories, but Yuri was the one. Well, I named my daughter after Yuri Kochiyama. And
Wow.
Yuri was the one who made me finally say, okay, I'm going to give Panthers a chance, because I was very rebellious growing up against them, because I was like, this is a interesting group right here. So it
Right.
was Yuri's influence. It was on the first time I went to Yuri's house that I was like, wow, like, okay, I have respect for my elders. I have true respect because I understand Yuri, and Yuri has so much light. I have so one more story too. Yuri came to my house when I had Yuri, my daughter. Yuri showed up with her backpack, a little orange juice, um, and maybe flowers or something. And she came in, and my mother and I sat like on the floor, like on the like a bed, and she just held my daughter Yuri. So the women growing up, just these are jewels. These are the moments that I get to think about, because so many Panthers, Thomas McCrary, they passed on.
Blood.
These are our
Yes. Yes.
ancestors. So when I
Yes.
have these moments to share these stories, it's like I'm reliving it. So I don't know if I answered your question,
Nah,
but
you did. Plus, and we're gonna get you to Raphael's question as well. I just want to comment on Yuri for folks who are not familiar with Yuri Kochiyama. Yuri is one of the baddest freedom fighters that I've ever had the pleasure to know, and I had the opportunity to visit her at her house in San Francisco, and Yuri kept every damn thing that she ever had. You know what I mean? She had little pictures of comrades who were my age that they drew when they were 6 and 7 years old. You know what I mean? She's just pulling out stuff. And I remember she was like in her 80s. Whenever I would go to I would always see a Black August out in Black August commemorations when in the Bay in Oakland. And whenever I walk up to her, she'd be, oh, Kalonji from Atlanta. So that's every time I was Kalonji from Atlanta. But the thing is, it's like, a comrade of El Haj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, they actually shared the same birthday. Yuri Kochiyama, Malcolm, and Ho Chi Minh, May 19th. So that's definitely a revolutionary day. So definitely, so shout out to her. And of course, we had Blood McCreary, Thomas McCreary, on the platform as well. Him, Sekou and Daruba, for folks who didn't get to see that episode before he transitioned. It was a piece we did on the a BLA special right here on Black Power Media. So definitely check out that. I think Raphael had a question. I don't know if you hit it or not.
So my cousin, so recently Raphael and I did an interview for this other newspaper, but I talked about like my cousin Joyce is also a political prisoner, freedom fighter, and Joyce is from Rochester. And I never talk about Joyce because I don't know why I don't talk about Joyce, but she's my cousin too on my father's side. And
I never
so,
noticed she was your cousin till
yeah,
right now.
Joyce Powell is my
Okay.
cousin. And
Wow.
so
Okay.
growing up, I used to go to Rochester a lot. You know, my father, when he was home, wanted me to have those relationships with my cousins and my grandmother. And so Joyce was one of them when she was home. Fiery Joyce, I loved spending time with her. So yeah, she's from Rochester too. So I have to definitely talk about her, uplift her, and just her story. I've been just with my father, so I haven't even
Right. Right.
had a
Right.
chance to talk about my cousin Joyce.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
another
Yeah.
freedom fighter that we want home.
No doubt. No doubt.
I want to add too. I found out about Kamau and Joyce's connection, listening to Joy Powell's podcast. She
Mm.
was doing a interview, and just like you're talking, Kasise, about experiencing cousins, aunties, uncles, and really being inspired. She talked about Kamau Siddiqui as one of her favorite cousins, who she used to sit at his foot, and he used to just like you said with yours. She said he used to have so many stories, and really as a youth, helping her understand like why it's important, to struggle against oppression. And so I just have to say, when I heard that connection, I don't know, I was just blown away. Yes, I want to add that piece.
No doubt.
Real
No
quick,
doubt.
just want to say that for my family on my father's side, yeah, my dad is their hero too. Like my cousins, I have cousins too, and they're just like, "How's Uncle Kamau?" And it's so weird. I'm like, "Yeah, he's their uncle," and how they look up to him because he chose differently, in terms of joining the party and stuff. So, and my father was really shy. He's a quiet warrior. He still is shy, but his commitment to the struggle and his principles, everybody he may be quiet, but his actions are different,
No
So
doubt. No doubt. No doubt. There, that's the ones to watch right there, the quiet one. You know what I mean? That's the one. It's like they talk about, in any situation, even with dogs. You know what I mean? The dog that's barking, you ain't tripping on him. The one that's quiet, that's checking you out, he trying to figure out if you're gonna be on the menu or not. So you can't bark and bite at the same time. So definitely salute to him. We're going on. If I'm not mistaken, this makes his 22nd year this month being since he was kidnapped on this round. We know that he turns 70 on February 19th. Let's let's talk about I know there's some plans for his birthday. We matter of fact, we're gonna circle back to that. Before we get to that, I know that there was a medical crisis recently, and that's been somewhat resolved. So Raphael, if you can talk about that, and also what's going on with the campaign, and what type of marching orders that we can give, the comrades and and quote unquote allies that's checking us out, because I know that the folks that's watching this right here, they're not here to be entertained, and if they are, then you're on the wrong platform. You can go ahead and leave now, because this is not for entertainment purposes only. So go ahead, brother. Tell us what's going on, and about that medical situation, if you don't mind.
Okay, for sure. So I think it was on Tuesday, Kasisa and I had a lengthy conversation, and she was able to just kind of give me an update about what was going on with her dad. And the main challenge was at that time him not receiving his blood pressure medication. And, rightfully so, Kasisa was worried, and, you know, just really expressed just him sounding vulnerable and weak. And so she felt like it was an emergency crisis. So as a result, myself, Russ Schultz the third, Yane, We had a scheduled just kind of meeting abruptly and decided to host like what we kind of considered like a call to action emergency meeting. And so during that meeting, we were able to identify, what are some practical strategies that we can use to be proactive. Because Sisse was able to kind of help us formulate that, and especially like just weighing the pros and cons about, is it okay to move forward with strategies without there being backlash towards Kamau? And that's always important for us. And so it was decided on one front, our legal, medical, interfaith people, point people will be reaching out to Augusta State Medical Prison, really trying to gather as much information as possible about him getting the medication and when and et cetera. And then the next one was the general public phone banking, which big shout out to Sister Naima and MXGM, who organized the flyer and just that circulation of that message. And so that was the second part of it. And then, of course, talks like these, there was other talk radios. Shout out to Dr. Ball earlier this week on Black Power Media. He gave an update about what was going on with Kamau. So
I taught him everything he know, in case y'all didn't know. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's what he always mentioned that too, Kalonji. But no, so based on those different strategies, we felt that we was hoping at least that was going to be enough pressure, which Kasise was asking us to put as much pressure as possible to get what he needed. And then during our steering yesterday, Kasise fortunately was able to give us an update about him actually getting the medication and all those details and those nuances of that process. And so as a result, Sister Naima recirculated, thanked everybody in the public for their activity, and asked people to halt the calls. And so I think one of the things we walked away with was, how do we organize when these kind of things come up? We're struggling and trying to get our freedom fighter out. But when a crisis or an emergency comes about, do we have a specific protocol? And so I think now going forward, just based on this, we have a clear protocol and anything else that might be needed in the future. So I don't know, Kasise, if you want to add on to that.
No, I think it's so important, like, again, like things like this, like to have a committee, to have a coalition, to have this kind of support, to have strategy, to have different voices, to really like figure things out, because this is not the first time my father's had issues with his health. And so maybe like last year or the year before, we do a call to action, but it's just kind of a response, an emotional response, where we do have to really think about, well, what is it like for him on the inside, so I just feel so grateful to really have everybody on board, and last night, again, like my job, I work and everything like that, so it's like I joined the call, and I got off the call and I joined back because I have more information, because regardless of, I have to take it myself, but I want things to move forward. I want my father home. I want his freedom. I want him to be healthy. I don't want to hear that he's not getting his medication, or he's got an infection and he's about to die or something like that. God, I don't ever want to hear that he's, not coming home or whatever because of neglect. So I know too that when I heard from my father that it was serious, because again, sometimes my father tries to not burden me, and I told him, I said, if there's any issue, you need to let me know right away, because we do have legal, we have medical, we have outreach, but I think this last time he called me, this last time I spoke with him, that he knew that I was going to get, not just me, but we were going to get things done. So he
doubt,
trusts me with that.
no
So
doubt, no doubt. I think and that's beautiful. I'm glad that you all took the time to come on today. Um, and just know that along with the committee you're speaking on, you have a whole platform and network. Black Power Media is, you know, as one of the founders, I'm saying without question, without a discussion, argument, or anything of that nature, Black Power Media strives to be one of the voices for political prisoners. So for me, the most important part of our fight is for the release of political prisoners. And if you're talking about reparations and you're not talking about releasing our political prisoners, then I don't want to hear what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that these are our prisoners of war, these are our captives. And for so long, many of us who have been in this fight, I've been organizing 36 years now. Many of us have been in this fight. We would have those posters, and you had all of these different freedom fighters on the wall to set the captives free, so on and so forth. And shout out to Jericho. I see them in the chat. We would. There was a time when hardly any political prisoners were coming home, but then all of a sudden you see uh, folks like Eddie Conway and the Move family and Sekou and Jalil and Matulu and Sundiata. These are names that I never thought. I'm talking about for us, and I don't even think that many of them understand, you know, the love and the honor, as you said, Raphael. You hit it on the nail, man, because for me, it is, I feel that it's the gift and the curse. We are blessed to be a part of movement, not this bullshit where cats just, jumping up and down, with the t-shirts and I'm this and I'm that. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about the dusty ass uniforms. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about folks who are sincere and have love and are willing to sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, everything to risk it all, because that's what it is. You have, you know, bullets and jail cells that they would love to furnish us with. You know what I mean? So I feel that it is an honor to be a part of this movement. So definitely salute to the two of you for keeping the fire burning, because I think that we inspire each other. It is that motivation that comes with knowing, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I tell folks all the time, I don't need no allies. I need comrades. You know what I'm saying? An ally can walk their ass off the field and go back to work and say, I ain't in that no more. A comrade is an accomplice. Like we know that we don't have to be friends, we don't have to hang out with each other, none of that shit. I know that you got my back. That's more important than anything else. Um, let's talk about again, brother's about to be 70 years old. The big 7-0. Let's talk about that. I know some things are coming up. Where the party at? I ain't getting no invite. You know what I'm saying? Raphael didn't pass the spliff. I know Kasise got the rum at the crib. Where the party at? I'm trying to find out. Right? Why always gotta be left out?
Hey, coming with plenty of splits. Go ahead,
well,
Kasise.
it's something because like last year for his birthday, I felt really excited and stuff, but I feel heavy for his birthday. There's something about seeing, even I was seeing like the flyer is like a beautiful picture of him when he was younger, but it reminds me of when he was home before. But it reminds me of a specific time, and I'm just like, Dad, 70, like just thinking about the the time, like he's been back in prison for 20 something years. So I'm gonna be enthusiastic, but it's something about just knowing like he's 70 and so much he's been through his life, his journey. um yeah, but Raphael can cover more like the actual event, but for me it's a little like it's bittersweet. Like I'm so happy he's alive and everything, and I'm happy that we're gonna be, bringing this awareness about my father, and that he is turning 70. But then it's like, damn, my father's been through so much.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's real. I could definitely share the link and a flyer with you, Kalonji, but
Yeah. Put it in the chat. We'll
just to
post
add,
it.
okay, yeah, to add on to what Kasise is saying, is the focus of it is a medical advocacy forum. And so, as we know, a lot of our elder freedom fighters at this point have struggled with different health, medical related issues. And so, we feel that there is some necessity to start raising awareness of all medical service. Anybody who find themselves on the ground working with either our elder freedom fighters inside of those cages or even outside of them, just to raise awareness. So trying to really create a space for medical service providers to come learn about the different medical challenges experienced by different freedom fighters. And then, of course, put out the call for them to get involved. And so it's going to be happening in online is the main forum. So we'll make sure people have a registration link. And then we're also encouraging people in your own cities, if you want to host an event, do one in person, get together a collective of medical service providers and inform them, then we're also encouraging that. And of course, if anybody does decide to do an in-person event, they could reach out to us. And our contact info is on the freekamau.com website.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Kalonji, I just wanted to say too that we had a letter writing in person on and also virtual um, day for him, and that was really nice. Like, I know he got a lot of letters, but just for all of us to come together. Was it Boston? Was it Rochester too? It was Atlanta. Were you down with that too? I don't know if you didn't get
Yeah,
to answer.
Boston, Atlanta,
And New York,
NYC, and Philly,
yeah, and
and Philly.
Philly, yeah. So
Yeah. No, that's so. What we'll do, we're gonna commit to having our audience write him as well. Um, we'll put it out on Monday, if not before. On Monday, we have Guerrilla Intellectual University at 8 a.m. from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we'll make sure that we have the address and all the information so that we can have the folks write write Kamau Siddiqui, um, and wish him a great born date, and we're looking forward to him being released because we're certain that he will be released. We're gonna put that out there. We're not accepting any more losses, man. You know what I mean? And we're glad that Matulu is out because I think that you know they thought that they was gonna put him out and he would be gone, but he's gonna grow stronger, and we're looking forward to having him on the platform sometime soon as well. Want to shout out Jalil, who's in the chat, Jalil Muntakin. Jalil actually did his first podcast ever on Renegade Culture, our old show. You know what I mean? So, definitely shout out to Jalil. Shout out to Valerie. She in the background cheering for Kasise. She like, go Kasise, it's your birthday. Shout out to Valerie Hayes.
Peace,
and,
Val, Jaleel.
no doubt.
please.
Jericho movement. Yeah. We see y'all. But yeah, so definitely we're looking forward to celebrating any marching orders, any last words y'all want to share with the folks before we wrap it.
Just always say, what's the call? What's the call? Freedom all, free Kamau
Freedom all.
Siddiqui. We gotta put
Yes.
this out there for him.
No
So
doubt.
that I just look forward to seeing him again, giving him that big hug, and he being with his grands. He got grown grands now. So
No question. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'll add, Kalonji, just want to give thanks to you, BPM, the show for raising Kamau's case. And I think an important thing for me too is creating space for cubs like Kasise. I heard somebody say it a long time ago that most of us don't really understand the lives that they have lived and still live. And I think when we create a space for Kasise, people like Russ, others to just kind of really be able to share their story, we too walk away learning important lessons. So just always giving thanks, Kasise, for sharing space with you.
No, it's a good thing to have. Thank you, Kalonji, to have the space to to have everybody, to have our committee, to have the support, because it's not easy, and it's continued struggle. So, thank you.
Amen. That's our duty, and that's what it's all about. Che Guevara said, "Revolutionaries leave the battlefield one or two ways, either victorious or dead," and we plan on being victorious. So, I appreciate you all. We stand with you all. And what's the call?
Free them all.
No doubt, no doubt. Long live all freedom fighters. We're gonna keep on banging on them, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all soon. We're gonna celebrate definitely the 19th, Kamau Siddiqui's born date. We got a heavy weekend next weekend. So we got on the 17th, it is UEP Newton's birthday, and it's also the 2-year anniversary of Black Power Media. That'll be our second year rocking. The 18th, Mukasa Dada will turn 80 years old. He the slogan Black Power, he popularized that, or he came up with it, and Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, popularized it. That's also my mother's birthday. Shout out to her. And as well as the 19th, which is Kamau Siddiqui's birthday, and Dedan Kamate. I believe that's his assassination date. So we want to definitely give love to all of our fighters, and we're gonna win in spite of ourselves. Y'all stay strong, and to the next time, we ready for revolution. Yes, you got one thing.
Did Rafael, did we give them the website? I don't know. Should I put
Yeah. What is that website? Let's put that in the chat real quick.
Yeah, the website is freekamau.com. That's FREEKAMAU.com. And you can find our email address to reach out to us directly, different forms to donate, and then more importantly, just learning about who is Kamau and what is this coalition about.
No question. And we're gonna if you miss it, you can catch the flyer on our Twitter and our IG page and Facebook. After the show, we'll have it on there, and we'll also have the website in the body of this particular program. So for folks listening, whether you're on Apple or Spotify, or you're checking us out visually, we appreciate you all. Continue to support our efforts as we support yours. Again, this is a movement platform. We might crack some jokes and try to enjoy life and all of that, but we're strictly here. When we say Black Power Media, I'm more about Black Power than the media part. You know what I mean? So let's not ever get that part twisted. I'm here only because we have to be able to broadcast by any means necessary. Love y'all, appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you. Peace.
Sure.
Checking out RSTV. That was Raphael Outlander along with Kasise Siddiqui. Definitely make sure that you go out and support Kamau Siddiqui. Write him. Go to the website, which is freekamau.com, freekamau.com, and stay on the right side of history. We're gonna win. Y'all have a powerful week and be safe out there, because it's real out here. All right. RSTV, we are out of here.